In studio right now. He's come to hang out. He threw on the hat, and he was, I think, dancing a little bit.
I was dancing. I was strutting. It wasn't a dance. It was a strut.
It was Steve Evans. It's Steve Evans, Lubbock County Chairman.
Got my Make America Great Again hat on. Love it. It's a brand new day, Chad.
Is it?
Just woke up. It's a brand new day. I have faith.
How'd you feel last night watching that speech?
It was fantastic, and what I was talking to you about off the air is, this is the first, in my opinion, solely my opinion, so it's worth whatever you pay for it. This is the first positive speech that we've heard in 9 years. So we've got young college students, maybe young high school students that are starting to pay attention to what's going on in the world. They've heard nothing but Barack Obama for 8 years, and I don't know how many State of the Union. I quit listening to him; it just depressed me. So for the first time in 9 years, we've got a positive outlook, and I woke up this morning thinking we may actually make it. We may actually survive. Yeah,
I know. I thought it was an uplifting speech. It was a uniting speech, and I know there are some on the left who are saying that, oh no, this was division. This was a horribly dividing speech. It wasn't. If you looked at this without bias, the president spoke a lot about how everyone's doing better and everyone's getting better and how this country's getting better, and that should be a bipartisan issue.
It should, and he reached out to both sides of the aisle several times, and they sat in silence.
Yeah, let's go to Washington, D.C., and joining us on the phones right now, Congressman Jodey Arrington and Carl Tepper. Carl Tepper, who was in the gallery last night. Gentlemen, you're on with myself and Steve Evans here on KFYO.
Good morning, Chad, Steve. I tell you what, it was a great speech, but I was a little distracted from Carl's being up in the balcony screaming, "West Texans love Trump," and anyway, I think I got most of the speech, but there were some enthusiastic supporters of Trump in the House.
Congressman, what were a couple of the key points that you took away from this that you really enjoyed hearing from the president?
Well, I think it's classical President Trump in that he's the people's president. I think the core message, like he said in his inaugural address about transferring power back to the people. I mean, I think there's been too much Washington influence in just about every aspect of our lives. And as he said, we're here to protect and serve. The State of the Union is strong because the American people are strong. And his fundamental belief, as is mine, and I think most of us in West Texas is, our belief is that America is a great country because of the American people and because of the American spirit. And if you unshackle that spirit from the burden and the people in our economy and give more freedom, and you relieve the burden of federal government intervention, tax, reg, etc., then you'll get the greatness of this country, and that's what we're seeing now as he unwinds a lot of the advent of government in the Obama era.
Congressman, from where you were sitting last night, some of your colleagues on the left side of the aisle, here's some of the things they did not applaud for last night. They did not stand up and applaud for low black employment, bonuses for employees, 2.4 million jobs created. They did not applaud for the American flag. They did not stand up and applaud for In God We Trust. They did not stand up and applaud for the national anthem, a fully secured border, merit-based immigration, fighting the opioid abuse crisis, and Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And I'm probably missing a few that were in there. How did that play where you were sitting, and what's your reaction to that? Congressman, I'm going to have to interrupt you. Your phone's breaking up. Let's do this. No, if you can, try to give us a call back, and we'll get back with you, okay? It was going good there for a while.
It's going great.
Yeah, and then the Democrats sabotaged the phone line.
They did. They knew there was positive messages going out this morning.
Yeah.
They stuck. Chad, while we're waiting to get the congressman back, one of the things that I picked up on right in the president's opening remarks, he referred to the steel in America's spine.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that he continually used on the campaign trail. He talked about putting metal back into the spine of the nation and back into the American people. So, I was kind of looking for all the things, the highlights and some of the taglines he used, but that was the one that caught me right off the bat. That's why I feel the way it's this way this morning. I woke up and feel almost invincible. I may be tired. I may need a nap this afternoon.
Oh, yeah. I was up way too late last night.
I was too, but I woke up just feeling energized.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us were energized last night, and a lot of us were proud of what the president had to say last night, and disappointed in the way the Democrats acted for sure. That was disappointing. I think we've got Carl Tepper on right now, so let's go ahead and bring on Carl Tepper. Hey, Carl, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Now your phone sounds good.
Yeah, it's I'm on a different side of town, different side of the Capitol. So,
well, let me ask you this. I was asking the congressman, the Democrats who sat on their hands and refused to clap. How did that play where you were sitting in the gallery? How did that play?
Yeah, it was noticeable. I think you need to know that so many people in the gallery were Trump supporters. Every congressman gets a guest. The Democratic congressmen tend to give their tickets to maybe a Republican constituent in their district. So the gallery was overwhelmingly Republican is what I saw. Of course, I had the only Democrat next to me, a very stone-faced, wearing black, Democrat, so just my luck. But I didn't let it ruin. I didn't let it ruin my festive evening. So it was real noticeable, and I had a better view of Congress and the Trump family in the gallery than I did of the Speaker, President Trump. So it was really interesting to watch Congress and their reactions to different parts of the speech. It was up and down all night. I mean, it was. Yeah. If you're even I think even if you're a moderate Republican, you were pretty
97%
pretty happy with the speech.
Yeah, 97% according to CNN. 97% of Republicans approved of last night's speech. I don't know what the other 3% were smoking. We've got Congressman Arrington back on with us, and Congressman, I'm going to let you get back into that question that I did ask you about the Democrats sitting on their hands. What's your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction was, as an American, it's sad because, again, these folks represent our fellow Americans around the country, and you just got to wonder, is it that bad that when you're talking about getting drug pushers off the street and you're talking about some of the things that President Trump mentioned, like the lowest unemployment for African Americans and Hispanics, I mean, that's cause for us to celebrate as a nation, and the stories of the people who were there, and the stories of heroism and sacrifice and compassion that he told at the beginning of his speech. It's unfortunate, and it's sad, and it's disappointing. I mean, it's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing, but I will tell you, from a political strategy standpoint, I mean, they continue. The Democrats are really setting themselves up for a weak midterm because they shut the government down for people who were not our own citizens and were willing to jeopardize funding of our military and other mission-critical functions. And now this is the posture they present to the country when we have our president speaking about things that are, again, I think should be championed by all Americans. So this is not good for them politically, which is not my concern. But as an American, it's sad.
Congressman, one more question for you. When you look at what the Democrats, how the Democrats reacted, and you look at something like immigration and the 4 pillars that the president laid out yesterday or last night, do you really think there's any way anything gets done on that issue this year?
Well, let me say this, Chad, because I was asked a lot last night by the more of the national media about bipartisanship. This president had a very optimistic tone, a very constructive tone, and a bipartisan tone. A. B. he talked about issues that are bipartisan in nature, like infrastructure. And C, he has moved, and by the way, he's made some concessions and put some things out on immigration that I disagree with. But I respect that he is trying to meet folks at the table with concessions, saying, I'm willing to make some compromises in this negotiation. Now, again, I disagree with some of them, and I've noted that on your show. But that's the president is doing his part, and he's leading by example. And I think it's, again, unfortunate the response we're getting, but it won't play out well with a growing economy and the tone this president's setting and the reaction from the Democrats. It's only going to help conservatives in the midterm. So I'm optimistic in that regard.
Congressman, we appreciate your time. I know you're busy today. We'll let you keep going. Carl, can we keep you on hold and carry you over for one more segment?
You bet. I'll stay on hold.
All right, great.
Chad. Good to be with you, Steve. Carl, see you back in Lubbock.
Be back in Lubbock, Congressman.
Congressman, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Chad Hasty Show News Talk, KFYO. We'll be right back. Steve Evans in studio with me right now, and Carl Tepper on the phone. Hey, Carl. Welcome back.
Hi, guys. How's it going? Yeah,
Good.
It's great to be back.
Okay, so you got to tell us, how was the overall experience at the State of the Union?
You know, it's a frenetic pace up here. I got to visit, had breakfast at the White House yesterday with a friend, and bumped into some pretty neat people there.
Was he a very important friend?
To me he is, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, apparently not everybody gets to eat in that White House dining room, so got to it used to be Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison. Now she's the ambassador to NATO. She walked in, we said hi, and exchanged a few words. And then I have some Trump campaign alumni I got to go visit. They're all working at the Department of Energy. So that was fun. Went to lunch over there and got to see them and take a few photos at the Department of Energy and catch up on how their careers are going. And then back at the congressman's office, I will tell you, it was he's still really a freshman congressman. And elections are funny things. I guess they just kind of shake out what needs to happen. And there were some great people who ran for that congressional seat, but it looks like Lubbock and Abilene and CD19 made the right choice. Congressman Arrington just is able to operate very well here. He's it's very natural for him, and in a good way. I think his genuineness comes off very well, and he had very good relations with all the members of Congress. Even, there are some tough Democrats in the elevator of his colleagues, and but he has the type of personality that's even able to reach out to them where they're not going to agree on almost any issue, but they certainly respect him, and that was refreshing to see. I think we're being well represented, and that just kind of carried over to there's a lot of events before the State of the Union, so we got to go to a couple of soirees where it was all the political heroes of Fox News. Got a photo with and got to speak with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson for a minute, and I was in line. Everybody's trying to get their catered spaghetti, with Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, which is interesting. I mean, the guy has his name and all the new money coming out. So how neat is that to be in line with somebody with his plastic silverware and his paper plate, And,
they're actually real human beings.
Real human beings, and it was just fun to say, hey, I have to get my photo. Sorry, he was speaking to someone, but sorry, sir, I just have to get my photo with someone whose name is on the money. And so everybody just kind of laughed and said, well, I haven't seen your name on any money yet. He said, well, they're coming out now. Let's put a really crisp, clean dollar bill. So it's kind of experiences like that was fun. The only media, I guess, celebrity I saw was Maria Bartiromo was up there. We kept almost bumping into each other, and almost every Republican member of Congress was there. We went out to the speaker's balcony, and probably one of the most incredible urban views in the United States. So that was pretty amazing. It was freezing out there, but you didn't notice it because it was just a spectacular view, and you realized what a special place that was. So just, Congressman Arrington, just a great host, and did a lot of running around. Like I said, it was frenetic pace. You're always from one meeting or lunch to the next. Got to sit through Steve's the I think he was vice commander, local VFW, our VFW, Steve, is that right?
Yeah.
And so got to go to a VA meeting. I think there were about 5 flag officers in there.
Wow.
From the various services and some veterans, advocates. And Steve, for a change, they were talking about smart stuff, which was, it was kind of like, how do we better serve our guys who are just cycling out? How do we keep them from getting ripped off by colleges that really aren't giving degrees and buying cars that are too expensive? The type of thing you and I would think would be much more common sense and better use of our money. So that was refreshing to see, and that was Congressman Arrington's initiative. He's the chairman of that committee, and hopefully it goes somewhere. And the services in the VA seem very receptive to the ideas. I think much more receptive than some of the other stuff we've seen over time, Steve, and you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So it was interesting to get to see some of government in action. It's a lot like, civic government. We have your boards and commissions, just, at a higher level and scale.
Carl,
then,
we just got about a minute and a half left. I was just curious. I woke up this morning just completely energized, like I could take on the world today. I mean, with your fast pace, I know you got to be exhausted. Did the president's speech energize you at all? This is, was Chad and I were talking about, this is the first speech that most of our youth first positive State of the Union, most of them are going to remember. It's the first positive speech we've had in 9 years. Did you feel any different when you woke up this morning? I did.
I know when I walked out of the gallery and I thought, because I'm always nervous about the midterms and re-election and things like that, but I walked out of there thinking, wow, the Democrats, the gift that keeps on giving. and as someone who likes to constantly, coach, politicians and things, I almost wanted to yell, what are you doing? You're destroying yourself, from the gallery. I mean, stand up. How do you not be excited about?
Oh, the Twitterverse was yelling at him for sure.
Yeah, Carl, we got
be excited about billions of jobs from Apple computers. So they really
they didn't stand for Apple.
They
Carl,
really hurt themselves.
Get home safe, Carl.
Yeah, we got to go, Carl. Thank you.
Thanks, boys. Have fun. Bye-bye now.
Steve, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.